This is my legitimate newswoman hat. Chloe sent it to me. Makes me think of Hedda Hopper and all her feathers. I feel like a legitimate newswoman ready to... Hey dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, and welcome to This Week in Drag. We kick things off with Canada's Drag Race premiering Thursday night, and one by one we met the queens. Is it just me, or are the Canadians just friendlier? At least out of the gate. Fiercalicious took no time to read Chalazon LaRue for her look, but then Chalazon totally judged Miss Licious for being, well, stupid. There were also rumors of an alleged grinder hookup between Halal Bay and Jada Shada Hudson. More news on this as it comes in. The mini challenge this week was a streetwear chic fashion show. All the queens looked fabulous, but the standouts were definitely Miss Mosu's neon color blocking, Kimmy Couture's leather fantasy, Chaos's riot of plaid, and I have to say, Ermagerd's East Coast streetwear was cute as buttons, but the winner was Bombay in her custom couture puffy coat and yellow camo two-piece underneath. And I'm not talking about her outfit. What, I can't say that? This week's Maxi Challenge had all the queens gagging as they would be making their own runway looks out of their streetwear runway looks. In other news, some of these queens were screwed. While the queens worked, Miss Licious and Jada Shada got a little shady reading some of the other queens. Okay, mostly Chalazon. Okay, mostly it was Fiercalicious. She seemed very troubled at Chalazon's large TikTok following. And by troubled, I mean jealous. And then it was time for the runway. Category is sidewalk to catwalk. Lady Boom Boom was first, and, well, she'd taken her pink sweatsuit and made a purse, hood, and apron with it. As for the rest of what she was wearing, it was okay, so I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. Don't get me wrong, it was totally chic, but the apron threw me. No one else? Chaos had taken her plaid layers and reconstructed it as an ode to origami, although Chaos called it a pokey-pointed piñata. She can call it whatever she wants, because I called it a Fingerdoo, seriously. Jada's second wife, Happy Widow number was stunning. I loved how she reused her fabric, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. I liked where Ermagerd was going with her asymmetrical look, but to be honest, I think it would have looked better turned back to front with the shorter side in the front. Still, I gave her a Fingerdoo too. I couldn't even remember what Kimmy's original outfit looked like. This was so stunning. So, how can I not give it a Fingerdoo? I thought Bombay did a smart redesign with her original outfit. She kept some of the more breathtaking pieces and featured them in the new look, and I liked it. So I gave her a Fingerdoo. I love Miss Moso's look, but in a Juno Birch kind of way. So Fingerdoo. Chalazon's silhouette was classic and gorgeous, and the graphic message spray-painted on the front and back was impressive. I was just amazed she had that much black out of her original outfit. Vivian Vanderpuss's dog-walking theme survived her makeover, and as cute as her classic silhouette was, it was nothing without Vicky's backstory. Fingerdoo for Miss Vanderpuss. Seriously. Halal Bay's redesign was interesting, if not a little too busy. It wasn't my favorite of the night, but I still gave her a Fingerdoo for trying. I would have given up. The only thing that survived Fiercalicious's original look were the little red bits at her shoulder and hip, which looked like hemorrhoids. But it still wasn't a terrible look, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Finally, we had Giselle Lullaby in her reimagined runway, and I was impressed. This couldn't have been further from her original look, and I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. Seriously. The tops and bottom queens for the week were Lady Boom Boom, Chaos, Jada Shada Hudson, Miss Mosu, Halal Bay, and Miss Fiercalicious. Back in the Untucked Lounge, it was clear to the queens that Miss Licious was going to be in the bottom with Miss Mosu and Halal Bay, who wasn't taking it well. Bombay didn't seem to think that her drag mother Halal should have been in the bottom, but when asked who should be, well, she wouldn't say. A play for Miss Congeniality? Inquiring minds, people, I'm just saying. Back on the main stage, Brooklyn Heights announced that this week's winner was Lady Boom Boom, but Chaos was a close second for sure. Of the three bottom queens, it was Miss Fiercalicious who was safe. Needless to say, the other queens were less than joyous. Miss Mosu and Halal Bay had to lip sync it out to Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj's Beauty and a Beat. Miss Mosu was actually easier to see in her neon outfit. Thank God she hiked the skirt up is all I'm saying. While Halal Bay, on the other hand, got lost in the background with all of her dark colors and less than polished moves. So, when Brooklyn Heights told Miss Mosu to Shantae, I wasn't surprised. And sadly, it was Halal Bay who was the pork chop of Canada's Drag Race Season 3. Drag Race Canada airs Thursday nights. Check your local listings. Across the pond and over the channel, Nikki Doll looked cute in a leopard print as she had one of the pit crew, the sexy one, wand the queens. When I heard that, I almost passed out. But Nikki meant with a metal detector. She was looking for weapons. It was a long way to go in a tight little Speedo for Nikki to make the point that words are weapons. And with that, La Bibliothèque was open for the reading challenge, because reading is what? Fundamental. Yes, it is. To be honest, I was expecting some serious shade to get thrown around, especially from Big Bertha. She did okay. Some of her reads got a little too personal, if you ask me. Lolita Banana. But her comparing Paloma to the food critic in Ratatouille was hilarious. She totally looks like that. Lips got a good read on Big Bertha after she confused her for Lova La Diva. Lips said Bertha's got drag in her blood. Too bad she has poor circulation. I didn't notice any of the queens reading Soa Demuse. Those queens must have been scared of her, but I don't see why. Her calling Paloma the Nicole Page Brooks of the season was fabulous, but it all went downhill from there. So when the library was closed, it was Big Bertha for the win. In other news, look how cute pit crew member Clyde DeVoe is. I can't. Why? Why? Drag Race France's Maxi Challenge this week was Snatch Game, and I'm just going to go ahead and admit I had no idea who most of these queens were impersonating. Soa portrayed Felindre Tete de Tigre from the French TV show Fort Boyard. La Grande Dame played Miss France 2006 Alexandra Rosenfeld. Bertha was herself in red glasses. Oh, no, wait. She was French chef Jean-Pierre Coffey. The first celebrity impersonation that I recognized, by name at least, because, well, she looked nothing like her, was Lolita's portrayal of Rosie de Palma. Cam Oog portrayed legendary French singer Mireille Mathieu. Paloma portrayed legendary French actress Fanny Ardant. And finally, Ellipse portrayed actress and comedian Chantal Ladessou. Between the translations and my lack of familiarity with these celebrities, I found this Snatch Game very boring. The clear standouts were Ellipse, La Grande Dame, and Paloma because they were, well, just plain entertaining. Soa did all right, but she wasn't very funny. As for the rest, this week's runway theme was a morning after a night out. Ellipse was first, and from what I could see, her night out witnessed the death of disco, and because I live for disco, I gave Ellipse a Fingerdoo. I loved Bertha's runway, chunky heels and all. This look was so editorial that I had to give her a Fingerdoo. In other news, Chunky Heel was my drag queen name in high school. Soa's night out involved a hoodie, box braid ponytails, and a message not to be afraid of a punch. To be honest, Soa didn't look like she was afraid of anything, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Cam Hughes' night out included going to bed without taking off her drag. Or Thursday. I just loved this look, so I gave it a Fingerdoo. La Grande Dame's night out included safe sex in her condom dress and sperm-inspired wig. I could have done without her spitting, but it didn't stop me from giving her a Fingerdoo. I just had to wear gloves while I did it. Paloma's night out included tabloids and scandals. You know, the huge. I thought this look was so chic I couldn't help but give her a Fingerdoo. Lolita Banana's night out involved being drunk at a child's birthday party, which is why her dress floated away with a bunch of balloons. She also had a cocktail in her wig. Based on her wig bar, I gave Lolita a Fingerdoo. In other news, Wig Bar is the name of my fringe play. Then Nikki Doll announced that the winner of the week was La Grande Dame, and so it should be. To have a fashion queen with a sense of humor is gold on any show. Seriously. The two queens that landed in the bottom this week were Big Bertha and last week's winner, Cam Hughes. Gasp. They lip-synced to DM's DJ, but I didn't hear it in Canada due to copyright laws or some such thing, but just from watching, it looked like both queens were doing well until Cam left the stage. No one seemed to know where she went or what she was doing until she came back in a different wig, but by then the damage was done. When the music died, it was Big Bertha who shantaed, and sadly, it was the petite flower Cam Oog who sashayed away. Hey, at least she didn't leave empty-handed. I hear she mopped a few wigs on her way out, allegedly. There are now 6 queens left on Drag Race France. Next week, it's the Girl Group Challenge, which is always fun, even when it's not. Drag Race France airs on Thursdays, so check your local listings. This week on All-Star 7 All Winners Edition, Rue's video message was interrupted by Kennedy Davenport herself, talking about the Kennedy Davenport Center and a Hall of Shame, which means one thing and one thing only. Fire up those ovens, because it's roasting time. And this time, the queens would be roasting each other. To determine the running order of the roast, the queens would have to pop a balloon using only their front and a pit crew member's back. Why would they do that, you ask? Well, the queens have been sequestered for some time now, and, well, I think they're getting lonely. What? Oh. The balloons. The queens had to pop the balloons because they all had different colored confetti in them, which would determine their place in the roast lineup. This went about how you'd expect. There were a lot of confetti innuendo. Spots 2 through 7 got claimed without incident, which left 2 balloons representing the 2 positions still open, first and last. No pressure for Raja and Vivi, who still had some popping to do. Raja went first and popped red, which put her first in the lineup. Of course, that left Vivi with the last spot, 8. But that didn't mean she didn't want to pop a balloon anyway. Who could blame her? I know I'd be right in there popping the hell out of those balloons. What? And then it was time to roast. Peppermint's Season 9 makeover drag daughter Wintergreen, aka Sarge, kicked off the festivities with a few words from Kennedy Davenport about crystallizing from a fire or some such nonsense. You know, I didn't understand it when Kennedy said it, and Wintergreen didn't change that. Raja went first and did a great job. She burned everyone equally, although that crack about Vivi being bet on at the Kentucky Derby was gold. All in all, I thought Raja killed it. Vivi did a good job too. Her line about Jinx having her hairline redone as being her biggest concern was beyond shady. Seriously. Shay did a good job too, but for someone who wanted another legendary legend star, I was expecting her to go in more. Seriously. Jinx killed it. Of course. She burned Rue for edging Shangela along for all these years. She burned Ross by ordering whatever intestinal parasite she's having. She even burned herself with a thought about how she'd become her mother halfway through a line of blow-off of Evie's Between Me down there. It's a lot. Trinity had the dubious honor of following Jinx, and if she wasn't worried about this challenge before, having to follow Jinx couldn't have made it easier. But Trinity killed it. Everything she said was viciously funny. Saying Jinx's husband dresses her up like a piñata because he needs to be blindfolded before he hits it was hilarious. She compared Raja to a tall glass of water from Flint, Michigan, and burned Monet with a second fiddle to Bob the Drag Queen reference. I thought Ruth should have just handed her a legendary legend star right then and there. Seriously. Monet was next and kicked it off by burning Trinity for, well, actually being funny. She also burned Raja's liver, Jada's teeth, Shay's career, and then all of a sudden, we had a 3-horse race. Jada started off so well, and then she started tripping over her own words, and then it all started to fall apart. But then she started making fun of herself, and it turned it around. Not all the way, mind you, but it really could have been worse. Finally, the Vivian took the podium and also killed it, but she wasn't the loud, vivacious Vivi we've all grown to love. I wonder if some of what the other queens said got to her. Fingerdoos crossed that it didn't, bless. And then it was time for the runway. Category is all glowed up. Raja was first in a stunning architectural body cage exploding with red lasers and the most unique shoes ever. Fingerdoo. Evie's structural gown with pleated fabric was gorgeous with those ethereal lights shining through. Even the adornments in her hair glowed. Fingerdoo for Evie. Shea Coulee's runway was breathtaking. She went from sunflower to firefly, all with the flick of a switch, so obviously I gave her a Fingerdoo. Jinx's witches being burned at the stake was an exquisite interpretation of this runway. Fingerdoo for Jinx. Trinity's runway went the traditional route, but then she is from Vegas. I thought she looked like a big electric lobster, but in a way that totally deserved a Fingerdoo. Monet's runway was gorgeous on its own, but then, when she flicked the switch, it became a cloud nebula in a faraway galaxy. How could I not give it a Fingerdoo? Seriously. Jada's runway looked like she should be part of the electric parade on Disney's Main Street in the Magic Kingdom. When she flipped the switch, she was transformed into a gorgeous mermaid. It was magic, but it was also more costumey than fashion. I didn't care. I gave her a Fingerdoo. The Vivi's runway was also lovely. She was dressed like a white Valkyrie or an archangel, ready to battle, so I gave Viv a Fingerdoo too. And then Rue had some news for the queens. She was revising the All-Stars rules. Rue was hanging up the platinum plunger for the rest of the season. There would be no more blocking, which would have been more impressive if there weren't only 2 more episodes left. I'm just saying. Back in the Untucked Lounge, this week's guest judge, Ronan Farrow, popped by to say hi. This lovely mutual adoration society was momentarily in jeopardy when Ronan showed the queens that he'd been given a legendary legend star. Thankfully, Ronan was whisked back to the judges' table before all hell could break loose. Seriously. Back on the main stage, Rue announced that the top 2 All-Stars of the week were Jinx Monsoon, no surprise there, and, shocker of shocks, Trinity the Tech. She lives! Kings and Queens by Ava Max was the lip-sync song. Jinx went the comedy route, which is a euphemism for she did a cartwheel. Trinity was a hairography whirlwind. All in all, it was a super fun lip sync to watch, but when the music died, it was Jinx Monsoon who was awarded the $10,000 tip. Next week, the queens will compete in a variety charity show, which should see the winning queen winning $30,000 for the charity of her choice. As for Shay, does she even stand a chance? RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 7 All Winners Edition airs on Fridays. Check your local listings. I'm Wilma Fingerdoo, and until next week, that was This Week in Drag. I hope you were too. Mwah!